so we can go live. And I will back out on this thing, and I will click my little thingy, and then I'll do one of these, and I'll be like, it is that time again. Jarrod and I are live on the Vlog Pastors Podcast. Come hang out with us. And then add a link, and I'll do https:// vlogpastors.com. And then point.
Oh, my dog.
And let's see. Can I mention you? Let's see. Mention. Where are you at? Where are you at? I haven't talked to you in a while. I haven't mentioned you in a while. Uh-oh. J.A.
I remember how to do this, man.
Jarrod and Jesse.
At. Yeah, him.
Your stories. Sure. Oh, and then I need to turn my volume down on my phone. You know what I didn't do last week? I don't think I did last week. Oh, you know what else I didn't do? I'm going to mess this up bad, aren't I? Preferences. Recording. Just that one.
What'd you do? Tell me. What did we mess up
this
already?
This is going to give me a big issue. It's going to be like, So I've been recording to my hard drive only, and I ran out of space.
Oh, yeah.
So because I ran out of space, and when I do Ecamm, I started doing the isolated tracks, thinking, hey, I'll make cool little clips of the blah, 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 blah. But about halfway through the last couple weeks, it's just ended the recording. So it's like, oh, okay, I don't have the recording. So then I have to go to YouTube. I have to download the stream and then upload that for the podcast because it just stops recording. It's like, great. And I was going to actually set that up beforehand, but I forgot to do it because I thought maybe I'll just send it over to my external SSD and record over there. Oops. So this will be like week 3 where the podcast recording that goes up on Spotify will just be the YouTube recording. And I don't care.
Oh, sure you don't.
I'm
really... like, does he not care?
No, I really don't, because it's like, whatever. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, this is high profile, prime time.
Uh-oh, Josh is going to break it. Probably. Get your tape recorder out, set it on the side. You know what I could do if I was actually just smart and thinking ahead? I would just press the record down here on the Rodecaster, so at least I would have good audio tracks recorded.
Just do it.
I'll think about
it.
Come on. Okay, fine. I'll hit the... See, now it's got a red light on. And I don't know if I like the red light. Stop the red light.
Goodness.
Hey, what do you think of my mug today?
What do you have? What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Is that Walking Dead? What is that?
I think it's supposed to be Walking Dead and zombies and stuff.
Oh. It's very creepy. Hats off to you.
If I remember right, I think that was what. Oh, wow, that's cool. Look at that. It's one of those color changing ones.
Ooh.
And look, I just drank out of that, and now it turned like black on that side.
So we'll get to like have an update. Like, what's it going to look like?
Oh, it'll go black. When it's empty, it just goes all black, yeah. So yeah, you can't see anything. It's like all black, and then that's weird.
It looks like you have black lipstick on it, yeah.
That's weird. But yeah, it'll go black. So. Is our framing looking all right? Yeah, we're good.
We're okay. We haven't moved much from last week.
No, I've just got to remember on this. I've got to zoom it in 30%. So.
Sorry. I'll get a longer cord one day. Actually, I'll order it right now.
Can you imagine what's actually going to happen when I like switch out my camera body and I go full frame? And I use these wide angle lenses?
When are you going to do that?
I believe May 4th.
Are we going to talk about that in a couple minutes?
Probably.
Okay. They got you with something.
I mean, I don't know if Genevieve knows that I'm doing that or not, but I should probably make sure that...
We're definitely talking about
Genevieve! It. Come here. See if Genevieve knows anything.
Yeah, this would probably be good. Better run it by her first before we talk to the live audience.
Hey, Genevieve, come here. You just gotta peek in your face real quick. Yes, you've got cute hair. Your hair is cute. Here, lean in so they can see you. They can see your. You gotta lean in. There you go. See?
There she is. Hello.
Do I get to buy another camera?
Get the reaction.
They can't see your face. You gotta.
Probably a good thing.
She says it's probably a good thing. You gotta lean. Can I buy the new camera if I promise to sell that one?
Can I say something without hurting your feelings?
Yes, please.
Jarrod says yes, please.
Are you going to actually use it?
Oh. Boom. Boom. From the top rope. Oh.
Oh, well, truth hurts. I love you too.
That was worth it. Thank you.
And John's the only one hanging out live, so he's the only one that gets to, yeah. Exactly. Owned. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a beautiful thing.
Don't fire up the internet's Jarrod, you'll freeze. Just put a piece of tape over the light. Oh, yeah, like in my car when the check engine light comes on. You don't actually take that to a shop and get it inspected. You just cover it up. Now, I mean, if I had a new car, then I might actually get it inspected, but I don't have anything that isn't at least 20 years old. Yes, nothing that's 20 years old. My truck is a 2003, and my Yukon is a 2002.
The truck is what hit the deer, right?
Yes.
You kept the truck. It wasn't totaled. It was just...
Oh, no, it just ripped that, like, under thingamajigger off. No, I'm not getting rid of that thing. Especially with trucks. Like, trucks are expensive out there. Everybody wants a truck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are.
Like, even the old ones. Now, if I really wanted to buy a new camera, probably sell my truck and buy a new camera and lens. Even with it being as old as it is. So apparently I need to extend our jazz music if we wind up doing some more of this stuff, because it looked like it cut out right at about 9 minutes and then restarted. So, yes, put a piece of tape over the light or a black Sharpie and color it in. That would be all right. Just remember, you called her in there. Yes, I know. I scan the code, see what it is, then say, okay, I need to fix that or not. I did that with our Acadia. That was the first time I ever, like, hooked up one of those little scan tools. It's the fixed little plug thing that you put it in. It goes to the smartphone. I did that, and then I saw, like, 18 different things. And I was like...
You were like...
No.
Nope.
So I guess technically I do have one that is newer than 20 years old, because that's a 2007. It's sitting on the side of the house. I was going to sell it, but it has issues, and I just don't want to deal with selling it. I think I'm just going to take it over to the junkyard and say, hey, give me whatever you'll give me for this, because I don't care.
Like scrap metal prices?
Yeah, like I don't care. They can give me a couple $100, I'll be happy. I mean, it's got fairly good tires on it, so I know the tires are worth more than that, but the tires are probably worth more than the actual car.
I've owned one of those. We were like, hold on, let me get the tires off of it first. Could we...
Going dark.
Welcome to the Vlogpastors Podcast, a podcast all about the stories and strategies of sharing God's love in the digital world. Now, here are two pastors that love to put a camera in their face and walk around in public. They are the Hall and Oates of digital ministry, Jarrod Brown and Joshua Verwers.
Hello, I'm Joshua Verwers.
Hello! That was high energy, and I'm Jarrod Brown. Oh my goodness.
And you are you, and this is what it is, the Vlogpastors Podcast. Welcome, everybody.
Stinking hello! This is Doubtfire. Hello!
Oh, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it?
I think so.
Hey, do you know what episode we're on? Do you have anything you want to tell them?
Episode 75. And yeah, if you want to come in and influence the conversation like John Hayes does, you can do so by joining us live on YouTube every Wednesday at 10:30 Central Time, God's time.
That's right.
Hop in.
Yep. And on today's episode, we're going to try to not get in trouble because we're not planning on talking about anything controversial, but that doesn't mean that you guys that are here live can't influence and direct the show and give us some questions that might just rile up our feathers. But hey, no, I think what we're going to talk about...
We promise. 1 week, we're going to be good.
We're going to try to be good.
We're going to walk it back.
I guarantee nothing. I will attempt to be good. I will not bring up...
Don't do it.
Things.
Don't you do it.
And stuff, especially in that political sphere. I will not bring any of that up. But I will talk about trending topics that I've seen on Twitter that are not super controversial. Maybe they're controversial. I don't know. We'll probably talk about some of that stuff. But I think we're also going to talk about what we do or don't do for Easter, what we should or shouldn't do for Easter, maybe.
Happy Holy Week.
Yes, and to you as well. Is this what? Oh yeah, tomorrow is what, Maundy Thursday or something
Maundy
like that?
Thursday. Yeah.
See, I just got my pop-up.
I was thinking, I think of that like Count Dracula. Maundy Tuesday. Yeah. You know, Maundy Thursday.
Although technically, would that mean that today is actually the Good Friday? I mean, if you think 3 days and 3 nights.
No, we'll go lunar. Are we gonna do it? No, just kidding. Hey, how do you even call it? Are you guys Easter people? Are you guys Resurrection Week, Resurrection Sunday people? Are you like
what terminology?
Doesn't matter. Just depends on who you're talking to.
I just go with whatever anybody. I was like, the day that like we celebrate not the money but Jesus and his resurrection. That day,
right? I just noticed that some people you say, "You mean Easter, right?" And you're like, "Sure, yeah, Easter. That's what we call it." You mean Resurrection Sunday, don't you? Because we don't celebrate Ishtar Day, and it's like, oh, wait, yeah, that.
You can say whatever you want. You can call it whatever you want. I don't care. As long as we're still talking about the same thing, use all the different terminology you want.
We'd be speaking Jesus. That's what we're doing.
Right. That's what we try to do. So I think we'll talk a little bit about that. I think we will also talk about, Josh, quick, call Genevieve to ask the question to Jarrod. He's saying because I wasn't going to say anything, she might. But we will also talk about the thing that happened on the pre-show, which if you only are catching the show, then you missed it on the pre-show. It's gear, and yes, I got owned. But I think we'll talk about a little bit of gear because there is some gear that I would like to buy, and apparently my wife is not okay with me buying it unless I actually commit to using it. So, I mean,
let's do that.
Technically, I use the camera right here every single week, and I use it on Sundays too. I mean, yes, with this for at least an hour and a half or so. I mean, we do something. John says, read the description of the show. I'm following directions for once. You're reading? Well, I don't even know what the description of the show is.
Did you put one in?
I don't know.
Here we go.
Do I ever know what I do and when I do it or how I do it? No, I rarely do.
Let's see what we have going on here. Somebody's in the chat. Description of the show. Join us. This part?
I don't know. Sure. What did it say?
We go live and talk about things that may or may not get us in trouble. And you can always stir the pot by giving us a topic and dropping it in the comments. Is that what you're referring to?
That might be it. Yes. Read the description of the show. I'm following directions for once. So yes, John is in the chat. For the others that hop in here as you're coming in, make sure that you're doing it. I normally have a ticker going on down here. We're not doing the ticker today because I didn't know what we were talking about and I didn't do it because home healthcare came in to visit with Grandma, and they are starting that whole thing. And so we were over there at her house, Mom's house. She came home last week. It's been a good week. Grandma is feeling more like herself. She is doing better, much better.
Come on.
So yes, we're enjoying all of that. It's like the burden, it has been lifted. It is feeling much gooder, and I am good. So that's where that was this morning. Had to run over there. And so because of that, it was just going to eat up a little bit of my normal Wednesday morning prep time. So no ticker for you guys. You'll just have to, I don't know, look and pay attention.
Live in the Stone Ages.
I could do a ticker. If Jarrod goes on a monologue and I decide I don't want to listen to him, then I can type something in.
What's funny is I noticed that about people. Like, you're one of them, man. You get about 10 seconds. You need to get to the point. Otherwise, you start seeing this. Like, okay, we lost them.
I'm that way with lots of things, but typically I'm that way when I'm consuming content online. Like, it's just, nope, not gonna have it. Don't want to. Nope, I'm done. Lots of skipping and scrolling, and one of these days we're going to study the effects of short vertical videos and we're going to wind up realizing that we have given everybody carpal tunnel with the amount of wrist movement that's happening. Yes, it's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't back that up.
I can't.
It's like, that's not a scientific.
Sometimes I just like making wild claims just to stir the pot.
Yeah, love it.
Let's see. What do we want to talk about? What do you
gear.
Want to talk about?
I want to talk about
gear. Do you want to jump right in gear, or should we talk about what's going on in our neck of the woods first?
No, I want to know about your gear. I
want to talk about our neck of the woods first.
I want to talk about gear.
Well,
we're at an impasse.
Here's how the impasse goes. The impasse goes that I, Jarrod, run the show.
Well, you're on the controls, so it doesn't much matter. You can do whatever you want to do.
We had storms come in last night. That is one of the school's minivans. We got hail. Look at the size of that. Like, that's a windshield. I think this one down here was a golf ball. This was a baseball, and this was a softball. So it got hit pretty good. Over half of our fleet is out of commission because the hail came in, and it wasn't just the small vehicles. Like, this is where the buses were parked. And look at that. Like, there's a window out there. There's a window out there. There's a window out there. And yes, that's Clark Community School District. Yep.
Whoa.
There's one of the side mirrors, the rear view. That one got busted out. Here's a driver's. They've got thermopanes there. That one got busted, as well as this right here got busted out. Yeah. There's another one busted there. One of these. There's another cracked mirror over there.
So do you have some that are still fully operational?
We have 6 of our 14 buses that are operational. And I don't know how many small vehicles. I think we had 10 of them. And I believe we've got like 6 of those. So yeah, it was pretty bad out there. Like, I was pulling up, if I can, don't you like how Twitter has a new icon? It's not the bird anymore. Did you notice that?
I heard people talking about it. I couldn't find it.
If you're on the Android app, it doesn't show up, but I guess if you've got iPhone, it shows up, and if you have the desktop, it's there. So you can see the little doji. Where am I going? Oh, I need to go to me. No, go to me. How do I go to me? Where's me? There's me. Go to me. Look at this. This was just north of town, out by where the bus barn's at. Like that one. You look at it just bouncing off the water.
I'm just watching the water. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Looking like a war zone was happening with that thing. And look at this pretty tornado that was over by Melcher, Dallas. Look at that thing.
That is pretty.
Like, that is beautiful. I think they even captioned that. Yeah, beautiful rope tornado. I'm not sure what a rope tornado is, but it does kind of look like roping. But yes, that was pretty. This week has been a crazy week with lots and lots of fun weather around here. Like yesterday. So yesterday was crazy. We wound up hitting, I think, 84 degrees was the high. And that was around noon. At 6:30 when I wound up, or maybe it was like 2, it was 84. At 6:30 when I went and ran the bus route yesterday morning, it was 42 degrees. Then it jumped up to 84 degrees. And then last night at about 9 o'clock, it was back below 50 degrees. So it's like when the weather is fluctuating in temperature that much, it's like, Mother Nature's about ready to just unleash.
So were you guys a part of that, like, tornadic storm system thing?
Yeah.
Was that y'all? What ended up happening? I mean, obviously that one, but what ended up happening for y'all?
So that devastated quite a bit. There was lots of hail damage that has been around here. And then there was another one earlier in the week. Let's see, IAWX, I think is the hashtag that I was looking at. So this one here, this was the one from last night.
Violent tornado.
So that's that rope tornado that was Melcher, Pleasantville, Knoxville area, back where lots of family and church members live in that area. So that was this one. But then there was another one earlier in the week. There's a gorgeous photo of it.
Ooh,
little
that's cool.
360 camera angle on that thing. Here's some of that's from near Osceola last night. This is the type of hail that we were getting. But earlier in the week, where was it? I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago. Maybe it was over the weekend. This one. This one just ripped through and like several towns and just completely destroyed them. So,
oh my gosh.
And there were a few of those that I wound up seeing some of the videos where some of the people were letting out some expletives because of how massive it was. But like, and you can see just what it's doing. Like, it's just ripping through. So yeah, this was the one. Language warning. I'm not going to put it on there because there was definitely some language warning. Because there's a car that like comes flying up on his left side here, and he's like yelling and cussing at him to get back. It's just Mother Nature is.
Wow. So y'all do have tornadoes. I know that.
Oh yeah.
But, I mean, are they pretty common as that? Like, is that a regular storm that comes rolling through with you guys?
This time of year, spring, early summer, we get quite a bit that roll around here. Where I'm at in Osceola, Clark County is a higher elevation, so we don't get hit with the tornadoes quite as often. They seem to go around us about a half hour. So like that, the one from last night was over in Melcher, Pleasantville area, so it's about 45-minute drive away from us, and that's where that one was. Last year there was a really bad one. I think it was last year, the year before, in Winterset, which is about a half hour northeast, and it just devastated through there. It's a tornado. You don't know. They put you in a tornado watch, and then they put you in a tornado warning, and oftentimes, if you're lucky enough to be around where sirens are going off, you don't have much time. So you just get used to looking at the weather, figuring out what a plan is, and then, hey, we're just going to roll with it, and hopefully it'll be okay. So yeah. And you still got, if I was looking at that storm front that blew through here, and that was reaching all the way down into Texas, you guys probably got a decent amount of rain and some storms down there, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We had a couple chances for rain this week, which is funny because we're the opposite. Like, we had just traveled down, or I had this last week. I went down to LaGrange, down South Texas, and chatting with some folks down there, and they're like, "Hey, we had tornadoes a couple days ago. Did you guys have tornadoes?" And I'm like, "No, actually, oddly, no, we didn't." Normally every storm that comes through, it's going to have an outbreak of, tornadic activity. It's just it comes with the territory. But we have this year. I don't want to go too far here. I'd have to check the data on it, but I am unaware of any massive tornado outbreaks, and I think we just got some nice, pleasant rain, a little bit of hail. But you know what, man? I tell you, game changer. We've had a couple upgrades to the house in the last year or two. Mm-hmm. One of those being the carport. That made it its way into the videos a while back. The carport, having your car parked under a carport in Texas with the hail that we have down here is just like peace of mind that you would not believe. Like, yeah, it's hailing. It's good. You go sip your coffee and watch when it's hailing,
Right.
Because, the tornadoes are what the tornadoes are. They're coming. Yeah. And we don't live around any sort of notification. You don't have cell service half the time. So it's like one of those, well, if the tornado's coming for us and we were gotten, the good Lord said it was time, because there's no, where are you going?
Yeah, there's not much you can do. We've got, the neighbors are good to us. They, this week, a couple different times, they've, sent messages and they're like, hey, just so you know, we're leaving the side door open. If you want to come over and use the basement, you can. We've got a nice bathroom that is on the interior of the house, and so that's kind of where we would go. But yeah, it is what it is. And, some people in different parts of the country where they're never experiencing it, they're like, give me a hurricane any day, because at least I can see that 3 months out. It's like, yeah, you get a little bit more warning than we do, but at the same time, all a hurricane is a tornado on water, and it's just whipping things around. And
all right.
You know what? We get water flung at us with hail. It's not fun. It hurts. I can't imagine being a hurricane and having that water coming sideways at me. No thanks. And then in Texas, you guys are your own country, so like you get every type of weather down there. You have hurricanes, you get tornadoes, you get it all.
You get both, yeah.
So
yeah, what was it? We had Harvey a couple years ago. That thing came up, which I'm sure you guys have all heard about it. That tornado came up and camped out over the state. It just stalled out. That thing, that was significant. That was a big one for us.
It likes Texas. Apparently, lots of people like relocating to Texas, and they're like, "Hey, we're just going to stay a while."
Every now and again, we got to flush the toilet, so we'll bring in Harvey and just kind of whoosh.
Right. So yeah, that was the weather. Now you guys in your area, I know that from watching some of the stuff that you post on Instagram and maybe some of the vlogs as well, you've mentioned that it tends to get very dry in your area. When you get rain,
oh man.
So are you out there doing the rain dance this week?
Oh, I'm trying not to. There have been days where we'll have like a 15% chance or a 10% chance, which is basically down in our neck of the woods. They're saying, listen, it's not going to rain, but we want to keep you encouraged. Okay, be encouraged, fair people of Texas. Like there is moisture about, and so but we've caught a couple little rain spells.
Yeah.
And man, it's a different place. This place is green down here for us. Would not stack up to Iowa, but it is so green. The grass is growing. Man, it might actually rain, which means we can increase our herds, which I mean, this is it gets exponential. If all it needs to do down here is rain, we've got the sunshine, we've got the heat thing. Our grasses can explode. We've figured out how to deal with the intense heat. It's the water, man. Some years it doesn't rain, but this year looks to be going.
Good.
Tanks are filling up, creeks are filling up. It's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is the time of year I actually like. I think spring is my favorite time of year because the weather fluctuates and changes so much, and I like winter. Everything is just dead and it's brown and it's just blah. And then all of a sudden you get one good rain, and all of a sudden it starts turning green. And then you get a couple good rains, and now it's a lush green, like really vibrant. So that's where, I like it. I'm enjoying it.
Plus, this is my first year to put out grass seed. I've never put out grass because it's pointless. You put it out and you're like, oh, it ain't gonna rain anyway. But there was a lot of anticipation this year that we might have a wetter spring, and so far we have. And I have grass coming up in my dirt patch of a yard. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I might have. Right now, I have like little patches like this, little bald patches. But
don't
anyway,
let the goats see it.
Whoop! Spring. Oh, they've already seen it. That's over. I got one of them. He just yoked himself out.
He's like, mine.
Yeah. There's no
kind of like
stopping
the little birds, like mine.
Yeah. Mine.
Nice. John asking, has the new transportation director found a mechanic yet? They have hired somebody for the mechanic position that is supposed to start next week.
Are you interested?
The mechanic, I'm not sure he has any mechanical experience, but he was hired for a mechanic. So that's public education for you. John said, would that pass the pre-trip inspection? No, none of those passed the pre-trip inspection. Like I didn't get to drive a bus today because we didn't have enough buses. And I know the area well enough that they're like, we don't have enough buses to pick up all the country kids. Here's a Suburban. Can you go pick up this route and this route's country kids? Sure. So just start running through with the Suburban. It had a crack in the windshield, which doesn't pass pre-trip inspection, but I had to verify, and apparently there were phone calls that were made to the person that would say, yes, you can, yes, you can't. And my understanding was that there was a lot of la, 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 just get it done.
Yeah, get the job done.
So that's kind of where it's at. And I know that there are phone calls being made to area, schools and saying, have you got a bus we can borrow for a couple days? And I think my bus itself is actually being cannibalized at the moment. So they're taking windows out of it to help replace for the other ones.
This is my favorite time. So in the military, you have all of your training and the grind, and everything has to pass inspection. And if it's out of kilter, you got to, turn the plane over or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's very strict and very harsh. But in wartime,
it's a whole different thing.
Hitteth the fan.
Get
it's
it
like
done.
A little bit of duct tape and some baling wire. Let's get back out there. It'll stay together. Let's go.
Let's just hold it together and make it do its job.
These are my favorite times. Yeah.
Yeah,
get after it.
Was good.
Is that windshield cracked? Yeah, not bad enough.
It's all right. Yeah, I think we actually had one of the buses that on the service door, the thermo panes for it, the outside, like that driver's side window where you saw that it was busted, but the interior was still there. So this is on the exterior service door. The outside was busted. The inside was okay. So they just removed all of the broken glass from the outside and then taped over it to make sure that there wasn't anything exposed, and then run. Otherwise, we would only have 5 buses. So it's like, yeah. John was saying, in relation to you saying that Harvey had camped out over Texas, he said, did that weather balloon camp out over Texas too?
No. There's no. I'm unaware of any balloon. This is a point of pride here. No. I will cry the day that they say, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's a balloon camped out over Texas. Nobody noticed." I'd be like,
"That's definitely John trying to stir things up." So
yeah, he's
wanting us to.
No, John.
Which, by the way, did you hear the reports that came out about that?
You want to do this, don't you? Yeah,
I just asked if you heard the reports. I didn't say we have to talk about the reports.
I've heard the reports that they were able to steer the thing, that it actually did gather intelligence and was able to transmit in real time. Yes, I was able to find out that they drove in figure 8 patterns over top of our military installations. China. Weather balloon. China. Sure, and we did.
So now it makes you wonder what actually is happening on TikTok.
We did nothing about it. We knew that it was going to be flying in. We knew that it was doing figure 8s, and we did not shoot it down whenever we had the opportunity. No, hey, you know what? I feel perfectly safe. Like there's nothing going on here, nothing to see here. Oh my goodness, yeah. We'll call it there.
All right, I was just asking if
I did. Sorry, short answer. Yeah.
John also says, I'm hoping that we are through the last of the frost. I want to plant seeds soon. The grass ain't quite green quite yet, but the onions are growing well in the yard.
Yes, they are.
Right. Yeah. Yes, the new guy will definitely learn how to change the windows. He's most definitely going to learn how to change the windows. John says, sounds like the trick of passing the DOT inspection of just removing the light entirely instead of having the light out. Can't be on if it's not there. Yeah, or like if your hydraulic brakes are like not quite working with the emergency brake, and so you just pull the emergency brake, but what they don't see is your foot on the actual brake. And not going to say that's ever happened. Ever. Anywho. There we go. That's how the week has been going. So,
well, good to hear.
Everything going good?
Yeah. We've spent a lot of time working on the infrastructure of the place, as I mentioned, like regrading the land because of water, because of runoff, and because it doesn't rain. We have to deal with it in the spring and maybe a little bitty smidge in the fall. And the water that comes off of our hill, because we live on a hill, comes down and slams into the side of our house, and then must choose, to go around our house. So we've spent, many days out in a skid steer making sure that regrading the land, bringing up the driveway, making sure the water's redirected around our house. So every year we do something different. French drains, next year probably gutters to eliminate the last little bit of the water flow issues. Now that we actually have water coming from the sky, it's gonna be awesome. Anyway. But yeah, much drier. I have a front yard. It's got grass in it. Working on a fire pit. You'll see. One day I'll make a vlog again. One day. With cool equipment. Better equipment.
Cool equipment. Better equipment. So... Speaking
you see
of
what
gear,
happened was, this is where you need to start, because I heard you starting to chatter about a week ago with Diana.
Speaking of gear, hey, so I've been one of those. I run a Sony A6600 with the 16 mil Sigma 16 f1.4 on that one. For the vlogs, which, I haven't really done those. I've got the Sony 10 to 18 millimeter f4.0. Love that lens. Like, absolutely love that lens. I've got an ND filter on it. It's the Freewell ND system. It's the magnetic quick system. Although they're new magnetic, because now they've got a magnetic variable ND. Yes, the magnetic variable ND. Josh has gas. He's admitted that. Yeah, I have lots of gas.
You've always been honest about this. You have gas.
I've
when
always
been new and shiny drops. You talk about it for a while and then you go, maybe not. But I think this is different.
Yes, I'm thinking. So here's the thing. There are several things that I've been wanting to upgrade. I bought that A6600 right after it dropped. So I believe they released it in like November of 2018. I bought it February of 2019. And I had the M50, the Canon M50, I think for like 6 months or so. And then it was like, nah, I'm getting rid of this thing. Because for my use case, that 30-minute record limit was a non-starter. Like, I just can't do it. And when I heard that Sony was coming out with a new one that actually had a articulating screen, it's a flip-up screen, which that's the one thing that does kind of annoy me. Like, this wasn't meant for vlogging, but that's how I was using it. So I've got the flip up screen. I can look at the screen up there. The problem is I can't use the cold shoe mount.
Yep. No,
because it's right in the middle of the screen. So instead, I had to get a cold shoe relocation plate. So I've got one on this side and then one on that side. It's a hassle. It is what it is. But the camera's been great. It works great. I'm going to use it for recording my sermons. So it means I need it to record for at least an hour, typically about an if I'm going to be the one that hits start on it and I'm going to one that hit end on it after I'm done preaching, we're probably looking at probably only about 45 minutes for that. But after I've done prayer requests and after I finally made it back there, I'm at about an hour and 15 minutes. So, and that's not using it for any praise and worship. So I need like an hour and 15 of recording.
Easy
with this.
Easy.
Impossible with the Canon M50.
Yeah, you had to go back there. Stop, start.
Yeah.
Stop, start.
So now we get into where I've used it. I've loved it. I think that the colors are good. It does pretty much auto everything. It's good. If I didn't have any other options, I would use that for a couple more years at least, because I still do 4K and 30. I think I can do 120, but I think 120 frames per second is only in like 720p maybe.
Nobody uses that anyway. I take that back. Peter McKinnon uses it flawlessly if you're Peter McKinnon, but real world practical usage, I have it on my A7S III. Okay, bring it back. Bring back 120. You don't use it. It's too slow, number one. Number two, even with the discounted cards that I know you and I like to shop, because we're not going to buy one of those Sony CFast cards, but it's too slow. They freeze up. I've found them to be problematic.
I'm not doing 4K 120 for a full length, but if I'm getting B-roll, I want 4K 120. If I know I'm just doing some B-roll shots, I want that so I can adjust the speed and play with it and slow it down. That's where I definitely use it. Now, do I need 4K? No. 1080p 120 is fine by me. 4K, the only reason I ever record stuff in 4K is just so I have the real estate in case I need to crop in. That's it.
Yep.
So, Sony came out with the FX30.
Man,
because they have the FX3. I didn't want the FX3. It's a cinema camera. I'm not cinema camera. I do like video first, because this is still the Alpha series, and it's like video photo hybrid. I rarely use photo. It's all video. So I didn't necessarily need that. But when the FX30 came out and I looked at the specs on it, I'm thinking, I might actually do that. And it's like, I don't know, $1,800, $1,900. And I'm like, it's a little bit up from what this was. I think I bought it new and it was like 13 or 14. So it's like, okay, it's the big daddy, and it's got better color science, and the autofocus is much better. And I'm like, this is nice. Until was it last week? And all of a sudden,
she got you. I'm just saying.
All of a sudden, I start seeing that they're coming out with and just for Diane, I'm going to say it, the ZV-E1. I love saying Z because it just sounds fun.
He drops that in the chat. He dropped the Z, and I'm like, that will not stand. I guarantee you. And the first fire back was Diana. Where are we? What country do we live in?
It's instant. Yeah, it's instant. But so I've got the ZV-1 over my shoulder, and you guys have seen this. This is the ZV-1 looking at me right now. It's a point and shoot. It's got a not an interchangeable, but a fixed lens that does, I think, 24 to 70 mil. It's good. I've used it for recording sermons, and it does a really good job. I like it. I don't think I'll ever get rid of that, because for a point and shoot, it literally will slide in my pocket, and I can take it anywhere and use it. 24 is not wide enough for me for vlogging purposes. So when I vlogged with it, I have to set it somewhere and then take an extra step back. But it works. However, this new ZV-E1, don't ask me why Sony names things the way they do. I don't understand it, because they had the ZV-1 and then they did the ZV-E10.
10.
And then they did the ZV-1F.
Don't remember
And
that
now
one.
there's the ZV-E1. The ZV-E1 is a full frame Z version. I'm not full frame, for those that don't know. It's basically you get this much of a 35 millimeter is 35 millimeter. That's what you're getting on it. Whereas APS-C is what this is and what I typically run with, and it's a crop in on that. So it's not quite full frame. It's like a 1.5 crop.
And he's referring to their sensor size.
Yeah. The sensor size, so what you're able to get through the lens and how you see it all. And it's just, and quite frankly, for most people, they don't even care. Like,
yeah. But basically,
what does it
beginner
mean?
style, bigger sensor allows more light, more information to come in and to be gathered and to compress it down into, which that gets into codec, but compress it down into the image that you want. Smaller one, less information. So it's having to really fight for it.
And so you have a full frame in the A7S III.
I do.
And you have the APS-C in the A6600.
I do.
What is the weight difference in those two?
I don't know what it is on paper, but it's uncomfortably greater. It's probably double. Is what it feels like to me.
It's like the difference of a pint of ice cream and a full gallon.
Oh, it's maybe not quite that extreme, but yeah, it is. It is.
And that's one of the biggest reasons I have not went with a full frame. Like, here's the biggest thing that I do like about the full frame, and you touched on it. Bigger sensor allows more light to come in. So for darker environments, especially nighttime, and that's, if you can look over my channel, look at this. You will see lots of vlogs coming from me when daylight savings is like in effect to the point where we've actually got daylight. I'm usually out vlogging a lot more. So from April all the way through like September, those are the times where I put out the majority of my content. It starts getting dark, I stop recording stuff. Why? Part of it is because I just don't want to go out because it's cold. The other part of it is when I've gone out and it's cold and I try to record something, you can't see it. It's all dark and it's grainy and it's like, I just don't want to. However, I've seen some of the nighttime footage that you have shot with that A7S III.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh. And here's the thing, that A7S III is like it's like what, a $3,000-$4,000 camera, something like that.
Something like that. And
the ZV-E1 is the same sensor that it's basically the same thing that the A7S III has. It's like if you took the A7S III, which is a photo video hybrid, and you took the FX3, which is cinema camera, and they had a baby with artificial intelligence, and they focused on, this is going to be for vloggers, so they want a lot of quick buttons that they can push. They don't want to go through a lot of menu systems, and they hate heavy things because they've got to carry it like this. Here you go. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I might have to buy a new camera at like $2,200 for the body, which is, that's going to be a hard pill to swallow. But the main reason that I went with this is because I looked at this camera, and when I saw all the specs, I looked at it and I was like, I can get 3 or 4 years out of this thing easy. I think I've actually gotten farther than I thought I would with it. And it's still holding up. Like, it can probably still get me another 3 or 4 years if I wanted to. Whereas I look at the ZV-E1 and I'm like, you know, I don't think I would ever really need to upgrade until the standard becomes like 8K.
Yep.
Which I don't foresee that happening in the next decade.
Or
because even at 4K, with most 4K footage, my old eyes can't see the difference between 1080p and 4K. And when Mr. Beast is only uploading 1080p, and with most of the stuff, even like on like Netflix, if you want 4K, you have to pay extra for it. Most people aren't paying extra for it. If you've got YouTube TV and you want 4K, you got to pay extra for it. Most people aren't paying extra for it. And most of our phones, they don't have 4K displays on it. They got 4K cameras. They don't have 4K displays. And with most of the video being watched on that, and then even if you do have a 4K display, your internet service in spotty Texas is going to throttle it back and say, 480p is good enough for you.
That's 1,000% true. That is 1,000% true. No, there's no need. There's no need to go past the ceiling of 4K right now. I mean, they've got 6K sensors. When you're saying when you're saying a full frame these days for Sony, that means a 6K sensor. So they're already downsizing and packaging so much more information into these images than ever before. I don't think you will outgrow it in the foreseeable future unless, like you said, an unlock comes. But you may use it to death. That's what I'm running into with the A7S III. That thing has seen some miles, and it's like, oh, I need
using it all the time.
Yeah, because when you do have one that's a workhorse for you, and you're like this, like your A6600 used to be, like you're out there with it every day, and that the bay doors, the flip screen, these things need either regular maintenance or they need to be swapped out, or they just start corrupting at a certain time. You're like,
So that's where I will probably, I look at it and I'm like, I'm probably going to run that until it dies.
Run the wheels off that bad boy.
Yep. I think it's likely to be what is going to take place. The thing with it, here's the only downfall that I foresee.
Wait. Has this thing been tested? Have the Jarrod Undones of the world gotten a hold of it? Have they taken a look at the AI? Have they seen what it does in the overheating? Have they put it through its paces? And everyone has come back with what reviews on this camera? Granted,
I think Jarrod
every scenario is different.
I think Jarrod Undone's title on his review might have been maybe the most accurate summary of it. Let's see if I can find it here real quick, just so you can see, and we'll pull over. Yeah, right here. The Sony ZV-E1 review, a nearly perfect vlogging camera.
What's he saying? Nearly perfect. I want to hear somebody say the perfect vlogging camera.
The nearly perfect, the main thing that he had said that it isn't is with the overheating. Because that was the thing for them to keep the weight down, because it's much lighter than your A7S III. I think when I looked at it, let me see if I can find this. Sony A6600 versus ZV-E1 weight. What does it say? Now that's the ZV-1. There you go. I think I had looked at this, and as far as the weight went, yeah. So here's the A6600, 503 grams. The ZV-E1, 483 grams. It's actually lighter than the A6600.
I do like that.
So for them to keep the weight down, that's where they had to figure out, how do we trim some stuff out? And they took out the like the internal fan that like the A6600 has, the ZV or the A7S III has. They took that out. So where that can be a little bit of an issue, and Jarrod Undone had done this. This is a screen grab that I had done from his video. These are the temperatures, ambient temperatures. He's one of those Canadians, so he likes to use Celsius.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. For Canada?
Yeah, the Canada uses
Canada.
the C. That's the C is for Canada. The F, I don't know. Freedom, America.
Yeah, there you go. Florida, freedom, something like that.
72 ambient temperature at 4K 60, which I wouldn't record in 4K 60. The most I would record is 4K 30, which it would be, actually, I'd probably do more like 4K 24. So record time, 2 hours and 19 minutes, and it only stopped because the battery died. So for me, it's like, okay, that's probably where I would do it. Now, the long recording that I've got would be in church, sermons. That's where it's at. And we're inside, we're in a controlled environment, and typically we're running right at 70 degrees in there. And you can see that the temperature goes, or the time goes down as the temperature increases. So here, just a degree and a half, 73 and a half, and then it overheated at an hour and 36. But even at 75 degrees, an hour and 11, I'm still okay with that.
This is really concerning for me. This is what you posted this the other day in the chat, and I thought, man, this is kind of a deal breaker, at least for my use case. So that's the beauty of cameras. Everything's different for different use cases. 70 degrees, you're only seeing that right here in this time of the year or in the winter, like the dead of winter when you're going to be under 72 degrees. The rest of the time, you're looking at 80s, 90s, 100s, correct. And that stuff is going to be, I mean, it's encouraging. I didn't notice before in the chart the 4K 24. That is what I use the most. And if that overheated under an hour 30, that would be off the table for me. This wouldn't even be an option because you have to be able to punch in with stuff. But at what temperature? We got to find out.
Well, so this is 4K 24, 75 degrees, hour and 11 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's the max right there.
Yeah, and that's when it overheated, was at an hour and 11 minutes at 75 degrees.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's a deal breaker for me because that means even in my church services, I'm out. Dang. I really wanted to.
Now, that's the thing. Like, I look at that and I'm like, okay, we'll see. We'll see. I did see a message from you, but I didn't pay attention to it.
I'm just going to reboot my internet real quick.
Okay. So when I'm looking at this stuff and I'm trying to figure out, is this camera going to be good enough for my use case? And this is something that I would recommend for everybody that's out there. When you're looking at gear, you're looking at cameras. Obviously, we're the vlog pastors. So because we're the vlog pastors, we're those guys that we're like, hey, we're going to be trying to use cameras for ministry purposes.
Yep.
Anybody that's doing any type of content creation, the first thing is, how am I going to use this? And that's what Jarrod and I are talking about right now. So like with me, my use case, twofold. Vlogging, overheating with vlogging, it's a non-stop.
Yeah,
it could be 100 degrees out. I'm not recording an hour-long vlog. I'm recording 5 minutes, and then I'm turning it off, and I'm stopping the record. And then I'm recording maybe another 5 minutes, and then I'm stopping it. And then I might get like 60 seconds of B-roll, and then I stop it.
Yep.
And then I take all those clips and put it together. You won't have any issue with that, which is why I believe that Jarrod and Dunn was specifically saying this is a nearly perfect
for vloggers.
Vlog camera.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. It's like, it's a nearly perfect vlogging camera. It's not the nearly perfect all-around camera.
And I think that's going to be a hamstring for pastors because most pastors are going to need, we're going to need a multi-use tool because we need those sermon, we need weddings sometimes, we need,
so
events
then when
that
it comes
last longer.
to that, when I'm thinking about that, I think the last few Sony cameras that have come out in the small form factor are any pastor pick and choose. It's going to depend on your use case and it's going to depend on your budget. If you're looking at mostly long form content and it's all primarily video and you don't need a full frame sensor and you're okay with the APS-C, that's where I would say the FX30 might be a really good bet because it does have that fan. It's a bigger form factor on the camera. It's going to be a little bit heavier, but it's APS-C, so it's already a little bit lighter, and the lenses are going to be lighter with that. So that's very helpful with it. And you don't have to worry about record limit. And you've got dual, SD cards. With this, the ZVE1, you got one memory card slot.
Decisions, man.
So you could go that route. Or if you want the vlogging aspect of it, you also want the extra record limit aspect of it. So if you want everything, well, that's where you've already got the camera. It's the A7S III. Like it does it all. Here's the only thing that I wish and I hope and I'm praying that Sony actually does. This ZVE1, it is the same sensor. It's basically the same specs as the FX3 and the A7S III. They have got some AI tools in that thing that are redonkulous. And like one of them is a dynamic active stabilization. Sony's are notoriously very bad with their stabilization. Their in-body stabilization is bad. If you really want stable footage from a Sony, you're going to use Catalyst Browse, and then you're going to have to put it into your video editor and then run that, and then sit there and wait forever for it to finally run. However, this dynamic active stabilization that they have is essentially Catalyst Browse built in. And now that means it's got a deeper crop, but Catalyst Browse is going to give you that deep crop anyways, even when you do it in your own. But it's essentially in. And from the reviews I've seen of people doing it, like, it's really smooth. It reminds me of like GoPro Hero 9 smooth. So not like the new GoPros where it doesn't move at all, but back where it was like, it was a smooth movement if you would see it move. And it was the first time, like, you see the camera and it's like the camera doesn't move, but you could see the subject kind of moving in the frame. That's what it looks like. And I like it. I like it. I think that would be great. Now, all that tells me is if you've got the same hardware as the A7S III and the FX3, this is just a firmware thing. I'm hoping and I'm praying that Sony does the right thing, and when this drops next month in like 30 days, I'm praying that they actually push out an update, a firmware update to the A7S III people and the FX3 people, because they're dropping a couple thousand more on those than what this is. It's cheaper and it can do more. Like, no, that's not okay. I think they need to push that out. So
sweet Joshua, your faith in humanity is inspiring.
Well, your cynicism, having been with Canon for so long, is appropriate.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, I haven't really seen any camera companies do that and push it out. But these are such huge things with a lot of this AI stuff. And even some of the things like where they've got, here's the other thing with the vlogging. How many times have you guys seen me try to hold something up and then it's like, it's not focusing on it, and then I have to do one of these for it to finally focus. The ZV-1 has the product showcase, which they've started to roll out in the ZV lines, and it's a button that you click, and then all of a sudden it says, we're not going to prioritize eyes. So we're just going to prioritize what's in front of it. So I could do this, and it would instantly lock on it, and then pull off, and it would lock back on me.
Which is actually, Sony's done an amazing job with this, because the fact that you just held that thing up in front of your face, they fought for years to try and get that focus locked onto your eyeball. And that, I remember when that came out, you're like, what is happening? It stays on the eyeball and not the cut?
Yeah. Now,
this is crazy.
Here's one of the other things it has for my use case that this doesn't have. So eye autofocus. It works great. Except when I'm using, what is that zoom they've got? The clear image zoom.
Clear image zoom.
When you use clear image zoom on this, it turns off eye autofocus. It won't work. With the ZV-1, it still works. When you use clear image zoom, it works. You have no issues with it. And I do use clear image zoom quite a bit.
I've started to. You guys won me over with that. I was at a funeral. Weird. I told you guys about this. Been filming funerals lately. It's at a funeral and way back in the back, because you don't want cameras in the front on that thing.
Yeah.
And so we're way back in the back. It's outside of my range, and I was like, what was? I know Joshua and Diane have been talking about clear image. Surely it can't be that. So I hopped on it a couple of times, and I've used it to save my bacon to get that last little. It's not a lot. It's like 1.5. It's just a little bit. It just gets you a little bit further.
1.5 if you're in 4K, because it's going up to the 6K sensor. But if you're in 1080p, it'll do 2 times.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and that's huge, because it's just that little extra. So see right there, I was doing this and it lost the clear image or the eye autofocus because I've got clear image zoom right now. Those are the things that make me think, for my use case, it might be worth it. And for me, I could find out really quick, because I don't like the idea of buying something and then returning it. I know there's a lot of even tech YouTubers that are upstarts that they used to do that quite a bit. They'd order something on Amazon, they would review it, and then they would send it back because of the return policies. And to me, it's like, I just don't like that. There's something
Yeah.
that just seems wrong for me to do that. However, if I'm fully believing this might be the camera that I'm going to use, however, it needs to check these boxes. The biggest box it needs to check is the overheating. If it will work for our sermons and my Sunday recording, I'm good with it. So I need that hour and 15 minutes. And I know that I've got more of a controlled environment. So I could get it. And I would know within about 2 weeks whether or not it's going.
Let me just hop in for you. I'll be the devil on your shoulder real quickly. For your use cases, from what I know about this camera, this would be perfect. This is a content creation machine for you. It's got one card slot, kind of the drawbacks for me. One card slot, you don't have to worry about the overheating, but those aren't issues for you.
Right.
So
yeah, I won't
nuts
have
with that thing.
Here's the only time I might have an issue with the overheating, though, is not just there, it's here.
Oh, the stream. Yeah, I had a stream limitation of like 2 hours and something. Sometimes.
Yeah, because when I looked at that, right now I've got to look and see where I'm at. Okay, so I'm in 1080. I'm not in 4K. And it's not on this chart, but Jarrod had said when you're streaming in 1080 that it's basically tripling these times. So if I'm currently doing 1080 at 30 frames per second is where I'm at. Triple this is about 3 hours.
245, 245, 3 hours. Yep.
No problem. However, if I decided to do a 4K, that might be a problem. Now, based on this for the 4K 24 at 35 or 73 versus 72, that is okay. However, I think our house pretty much runs at 74 degrees all winter long, and then it's at like 70 degrees all summer long. Maybe 68. It depends on whatever my wife wants. That's where it's set, and I just deal with it. So that would be my other concern. However, I'm in that current state right now where we are streaming on a regular basis. I'm recording at church on a regular basis. I'm not vlogging on a regular basis.
Yes.
But, and here's the other issue with vlogging that I rarely talk about, and so many rarely do talk about. There's a reason that vloggers like simple cameras. There's a reason that Casey Neistat runs a lot of his stuff in auto, because it's just simple. All I want to do is I want to record, I want to turn it on, press a button, and go. I don't want to have to remember where all of my settings are at. I hate having ND filters that I've got to play with. That's why I like variable, because, okay, and even with that, I just want my zebra lines on there to show me where the overexposure is, and then I'll just rotate it until it looks good enough. I want simple. I want easy. And I know a lot that are like me. They don't want to have to learn about aperture and ISO and exposure and
but they will.
They don't want to do it. Now with this one, you don't have to do it. Talk about AI stuff. It's got one that it says prioritize blurry background. And then it knows how to prioritize it, so it starts doing all of the focus. Prioritize lighting and exposure, and it does all that for you. So it's just like a simple little tap on the screen, which, okay, tap on the screen as far as the menu goes. That was another thing I was like, interesting. So a lot of that stuff, what this looks like, if I were to look at several reviews, and there have been people that love it, there have been people that hate it. Maybe one of the better ones that I saw last night was that Manny something and Terry Warfield. They like did a collab type, and they're like, this is an amazing camera and people need to buy it. It's not for us. We're professional videographers. It's not for us. Like FX3 is where it's at. That's what we're going to stick with. But for vloggers, and I've seen basically everybody saying for vloggers, that type of content creation that is doing YouTube videos, short type of content, this is nearly perfect. And the only thing that docks it from being perfect is the overheating. I also understand where I was talking to Diana about this. I think you and I had mentioned it, and I had expressed my issues with the heating. And she said she's been around the block with Sony long enough to see that what they do is they release it. It has some overheating issues, and then all of a sudden they do some firmware updates, and then the overheating issues go away. Mm-hmm. And I can attest to that being with the A6600, because when I first got it, I had it on priority where it's like high temperature, so you turn that on. So run it until it overheats, and then you can shut it off, but don't give me a warning and shut the recording off. And so that's kind of what I had put it at, was to try to do that. When it first started, there were a couple Sundays that it did overheat. Now it was like an hour and 45 minutes and it overheated because I just let it go. Now I think I've had like 3-hour recordings on this thing, and we've done streams where you and I are doing, we do a 2-hour stream, but we were on a half hour beforehand, and then we hung out for another 2 hours afterwards. And it's like, and it doesn't have an issue. So they've done the firmware upgrades and stuff like that, which makes me think, okay, maybe she might be onto something. They may do something there. I don't know. But as far as me and my gas, it's really hard for me to not go ahead and pre-order this thing.
No, that's a really good pickup for you. I have already, the company has my money. That's where I'm at in the gas stage. They already have my money. I just need to choose which camera. And I've been leaning towards the FX30. Just trying to get the colors to match. I want a lighter body, all the things, the dual card slots, blah 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 blah, all the stuff. But then this thing comes out, and you and Diana are talking about it. I'm like, oh, wait. That sounds like it's a lighter, sleeker version, but I don't know. I probably have to watch you guys get it. The overheat is a factor. I'm a little sketched out about the AI thing, not because it's AI, just I want some of the bugs to be worked out. I want people to have problems with it and tell me what they are. Not really gung-ho, because I am more on the videography side than you are. So I need to be able to control a lot of those settings so that they match, because I don't want to have to spend all that time in post catching it.
You can do all of those settings, but it gives you the option of, I don't want to have to deal with it, just do this. But yes, you can manually adjust all of it. And because it's the same sensor as the FX3 and the A7S3, it's going to. And it does the 10422 codec or whatever. It does all of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it does all of that, and it's like,
there is a dramatic, you're going to love it, because there is a dramatic difference between this A6600 that we're both shooting on right now and the A7S3s, and it sounds like what this guy, that sensor is, the image is just nuts, man.
Here was my big concern up until like 2 nights ago. Full frame. Mm-hmm. They're heavy. And full frame glass. The lenses are heavy. Yeah. And I'm thinking, it's a full frame camera, I'm going to need to get a full frame lens. Otherwise, I'm running an APS-C lens on the full frame, which then it runs in APS-C mode. But it basically just treats the full frame like an APS-C. And it'll work. And you still get the low light and all that stuff, and that'll be good. But when I'm wanting to vlog, and here's my thing, if I put an APS-C lens on a full frame lens, now I'm back to that 1.5 crop. And then if I wind up doing the dynamic active stabilization, now I've got an extra 30% crop on top of that. So I'm at like a 1.8, almost 2 crop. It's like 1.75, something like that. That's a lot of crop. Because then I'm trying to run with like a 10 mil.
Well, you don't like anything,
which then is going to be like 18.
24. So you're going to have to go off of 24 back.
Correct. And that's where I start looking at the full frames, and I'm like, no. So that was my issue.
Welcome.
Until there's this little hidden trick that I didn't realize, because I start looking at APS-C lenses. Okay, maybe I can just deal with it. Well, when I started looking at Sony's new APS-C, they've got a 10-20, and it's a new one. It only works in APS-C mode. Tamron has an 11-20, it only works in APS-C mode. However, the old school 10 to 18 mil, which I already have, it will actually work in full frame mode. And what I mean by APS-C, you put the 10 to 20 APS-C lens on your full frame Sony. You try to zoom in thinking you're going to get rid of the vignetting. It won't get rid of the vignetting by zooming in. It makes the sensor crop in immediately, and then you zoom. However, the old 10 to 18, it works in full frame mode. It doesn't force you into APS-C mode. So you get the full 10 mil on the full frame with that big vignette. However, if I were to run dynamic active stabilization, it's going to punch in that 1.3, which basically eliminates my vignetting and will let me have like a 13 mil focal length on a full frame camera, which is already going to be wider than what I'm running because I run a 10 on this, which is actually more like a 15. And I saw a couple people that have actually done that, and they're like, oh, this works. And why nobody else is using it or has done anything with it, I don't know. But it works. Like Jason Vong, I saw he did a video about it. And then that Arthur R or something like that, he did a video about it. And it's like, if this actually works, I may have the perfect vlog setup, because then I've got a full frame camera that is light with one of the lightest, widest APS-C lenses, and using the dynamic active stabilization, which essentially eliminates my vignette.
That's true. In theory, if it works, that is, for me, that would be the perfect vlog camera.
In theory, it would work. John saying, Josh has content for his What Joshua channel with the camera hacks. Yes. Yes. Like, when I started thinking about that, I was like,
What do you know?
Now, let's see if I still feel that way in another 4 weeks when it actually drops. Because I won't pre-order anything. I will wait. What I always do, I just wait until the day it drops, and then I order it straight from Best Buy so I can pick it up the same day. Because I don't want to have to pre-order and then them show up late. No, I want it on the day it drops. That's what I want. I don't want to wait. I want to be the first. That's what I want the first. Do it.
You bring up interesting points. I'm still thinking about, like I said, I still don't know what I want to do either, because as much work as I do in videography world, I have to have similar cameras. I need 3 similar cameras to get my jobs done right now.
Yeah.
And I'm in process of that. But yeah. I want a vlogging want is a vlogging camera like that. That's so, the want to.
And here may be the one thing. Think about your scenario. You need 3, but why do you need 3? And what do the 3 have to do? Do all 3 have to have that really long recording time?
All 3 have to have that really long recording time. All 3 need either I need to figure out a different card situation, but all 3 need multiple card slots.
Okay, so if all 3 needed multiple card slots, and if all 3 had to have that extra long recording, you might be in a problem with this camera. If 2 of the 3 could be the long one, then you could use this one for that. Because I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, you've done some footage where, you'll do like the Dancing with the Stars type of deal, where you could use this for kind of the run and gun. It's light, so you've got it. You're doing handheld stuff, and you don't have to worry about that. And with the dynamic active stabilization, do you really need a gimbal at that point? Especially, if you're walking side by side with somebody coming down the aisle, you put your little flip screen out, you do the AI tracking, and so all you've got to do is kind of walk and just make sure it's generally in the area, and all of a sudden it's tracking good with it, so you don't have to run with the gimbal. Now you've really eliminated it, which then means you don't necessarily have to be the one to do it. You can just throw that in Jesse's hand and be like, here, it'll do all the gimbal stabilization for you. Just press record and just walk down. At that point, it's like, maybe this could work. And then it's one of those that you've got that you can do for your run and gun vlogging on top of it. So that is your multi-tool. It's your Gerber all-purpose that you carry everywhere with you. It's not the best tool for the job, but it's the tool that can get all the jobs done with a little extra work. But at least you've always got it. If I'm you in that situation, I'm trying to think about the one thing about getting the right tool for the right job is it's often not the right tool for every job. So a jack of all trades is a master of none. But the master of one can't do all the things. And that's where it's like there's always the give and take. That's where I'm not sure there's ever truly a perfect or ever will be a perfect, because everybody's use case is going to be different on so many different things.
I'll show you my problem. The perfect camera to me was the A7S3, and I'll show you why.
Show us why. I want to see why that is. Yeah. John Hayes, I did get a refill without the floating coffee hand. I haven't had the floating coffee hand in a while. I don't even know where that thing is. Henry, Sam, my boys are back. Been too long. Look at that, Jarrod. Henry is in the house. Henry.
Hey, Henry. Oh,
Henry's back. Henry's back. We're back.
Our Henry.
Yes.
All right.
He is back. Okay, Jarrod has the perfect setup.
So, here's my vlogging. Hold on. Here's my vlog. Maybe you can't. Let me just get this out of the way. Here's my vlogging camera right here.
Hey, where's the gimbal for it?
Right here. Oh, hold on. Let me get it. Yeah, baby. Right there. No, look. By the time you get this thing rigged up, kitted up like you like it, you don't want to take it out of here. So my A7S3, your body back here, lives inside of this frame. And if I that's heavy. And if I want to go vlogging, this was my solution the first time.
The 10 to 24?
This 12 to 24?
Or the 12 to 24 G Master.
12 to 24 G Master.
That costs more than the body of the ZV-E1 itself.
Indeed. And it's a beautiful image, but it's this
gorgeous.
Thing is heavy. This is a club. So by the time you put this heavy lens on that camera body and go to vlogging, and this is probably the greatest detriment. I asked you guys in the beginning, I'm like, am I going to like this? Answer.
I don't know.
After years and years, what's cool is all the movement is internal.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's inside. Sorry, it's inside the casing.
Inside the
that. So you
lens.
Maybe you can see it coming up a little bit right here. Anyway, this piece right here gets scratched. This lens gets scratched so much because there's no filter that you can put over top of it. It has to have this hood. This hood never comes off. It's on it all the time. And this piece of kit right here, although the image is incredible,
it
never
is an
comes
incredible
out.
Image.
It never comes out because it's too much hassle. If I'm trying to vlog with this thing, not only are you self-conscious because you're running around in public and you got this, you're trying to throw up the camera and get people's reactions to things, you can't hold it up for very long. You're just like, you got to get your quick bursts in and then lower it down, and really got to want to, because you got to put the lens cover back on and make sure it's setting up just right in the car, because you don't want to drop $3,530. You don't want to drop $7,000 worth of kit.
That lens is probably going to cost more than my entire vlog setup when I'm done with it.
Yeah, it's that was one of those purchases where you're like, hindsight.
And that was one I even recommended to you, because I had told you, I said, if money weren't an object.
I remember.
If money weren't an object and I was going to use the A7S3 to vlog, I'm getting that 12 to 24. Why? Casey Neistat.
Dude, hats off to the guy. That thing is.
Yeah. But it's also, and that's is that the F2.8 or is it
2.8?
2.8, yeah. So it's got that blurry background, the depth of field, which is, I love the bokeh. But man, I don't know. Yeah, John's saying he's just going to design a body harness for you to hook onto that thing at your waist.
Honestly,
you have one, don't you?
Yes. So I got gas. A couple a couple months ago, and I was rounding out my ancillary system. I wanted the sound to be upgraded. I wanted no longer whenever I go out on a film shoot, am I trying to sync everything up in post and relying on waveforms and the audio that I may have gotten or not gotten. Everything has a sync to it. I use Tentacle Sync now for my lavs. I use all the syncs, was it eSync or something like that for all the cameras. So now I turn all that stuff on. It's all auto synced up. And whenever I go into post, I dump it into the program. It's all on a timeline ready to roll. You just start editing. I want to upgrade those things. And in that process, I was like, I'm tired. Like, that thing's a monster. It's never going to ride a gimbal. And I can't take it out of its little harness in order to get it on a gimbal. So I bought one of those like jetpack looking things that has the crane come over the top. I hooked her up. So I get the theory. I get where they're going. First of all, they're dangerous because that thing just whips around up top. But it's not built for a guy my size. All right. These are built for like small, not American people with tiny waists, if you get what I'm saying. So I couldn't buckle the bottom half. I just let her dangle. It was a nightmare. So that thing went back. But Jesse's like, I came out with that, and she goes, "Are you serious? Are you serious right now? You're going to use that? You're going to go out in public with that thing on?" And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's a monster hanging over the top. That's crazy. Babe. Ready to do some filming.
So is there any other gas that you've got right now with any other gear? Because I've got lots of gas.
Well, the big one right now is, since I have upgraded all of the audio stuff, is this camera piece. I need to figure out for my use case what works. I thought up until this conversation, this is my problem. This is why it goes round and round and round.
You're the one that said you wanted to talk about gear today. That's on you.
No, I was going to say, what is the basic gear you could get in, like you could start with. And
you didn't think I was going to talk you into buying something that you weren't going to buy.
And so here we go. Now I'm spending money that I don't know. Anyway, like I said, all the money's in. Like, they do have my money. I just need to make the decision. But this camera right here, battery life, it's good to go. I'm using it. That thing is it's awesome. It's amazing, but it needs to be sitting on the strongest tripod you've got. Right. You know, you don't need to be holding that thing, but it's the glory shot, you know, from across the room that highlights everything, and with the blurry background. It's amazing, but it's going to stay in its cage. I need to figure out what that third piece is. That's where my gas is right now.
So then, are you looking for a vlogging camera?
Here's the deal. I know we're the vlog pastors, but like, I either need to change the glass around on my A6600 and make that my all-around vlogging camera, or I don't like the way. Here's my real rub. I don't like the way the A6600 and the A7S III, the colors, they're just enough different. It's a
the
little
new
muddy.
color science. It's the old color science. It's the larger sensor, the smaller sensor.
And that's the stuff none of you guys are going to care about unless you're in that whole video production side of things. They're too far off for me for comfort. That image is just not what the A7S III is. And if these newer, I've been told the FX30 is close enough that you can't tell the difference, even though it's much lighter and it's a different sensor.
Yeah, so that's the main thing that you're going to get from the reviews that I've seen. The colors are almost spot on. Like, I had to do pixel peeping to notice any difference. The main area that you see the difference with the FX30 and the A7S III or the FX3, the main difference that I've seen is with light and bokeh, and that's it. Because colors, skin tones, they all look the same, and it's like without knowing what I'm looking for, I wouldn't have even noticed. But I knew that they were different, and I'm trying to look and trying to find where is the difference. And it's like, okay, when you see the bokeh, it's a little bit different. When you see the lighting, it's a little bit different. So then some of the dynamic range is slightly different. But as far as like what's in the foreground and the subject matter, I didn't notice any difference.
I'll need to see what the ZV-1,
it should be
If it's the same,
or the ZVE one,
it's a potential game changer if it's producing the similar image, because as you mentioned earlier, it sees in the dark. That means if I'm at a wedding, I don't have to run around with all this extra lighting and set up all these different. I can just go with it, and that means if here's what changes the game: the stabilization that you were talking about. If I can run around with a somewhat cropped image that is usable, but I can go with that sensor and dial up to, who even knows, 32,000 ISO and be able to see in the dark. I know that's really high, really, really high, but be able to see in the dark, that's
and it's got that dual native ISO where as soon as you kick into the higher one, it like improves the image quality and everything. Yeah. Now here's the one that I haven't seen yet, so I haven't watched this. I don't know, but we both like Peter Lindgren.
Yeah, that's next on the watch list.
He did the A7S3
saw it
versus ZVE1.
That's next.
That's like next on my list. I haven't watched that yet. But he had alluded to it in, I think, this one about how, hey, or maybe it was this one, his review of it.
This is a side note. His thumbnails, there's something that they do to my brain. I know that they are algorithm friendly. It's not necessarily what people are searching for just based on what he gets out of it. But man, those thumbnails, they speak to my soul. I don't know what they... I'm like, that is beautiful. Wow.
It's
one day.
I didn't even notice he had a question mark in
like
that one. I didn't even see that. He's got a question mark in on that top one, the future for Sony cameras. There's a question mark on the sensor. That was
didn't see it.
Nice. Okay, so what other gas have you got? Any gas?
Dude, I'm still gonna figure out. Most of it revolves around what camera I choose, so that will then in part take care of my lens issues, my gas lens issues, and my gas stabilization issues. Beyond that, always looking for a good lighting system. I'm always trading that stuff out. And then I want V-mount batteries like you would not believe. I just can't afford them. That would change my whole situation.
Okay.
Because I'm not portable. Whenever I go out on a shoot, I have to be around some sort of plug-in at current with my powerful lights. So, which happened, it bit me in the rear end last night. Last night I'm out with some batteries, some of those little Sony, what are they?
Yeah.
Little mount batteries.
Yeah.
It lasted, when I turned the power up on some of my newer lights, they drained it in probably, I think it was 3 or 4 minutes. They've lasted hours. You've had them on the show. They've been shining real bright in the back. That's 1%. Well, I turned it up during the daytime last night, a little bit early, and turned it on about 70%. Lasted about 4 minutes. The end. Wah, wah, wah. What do you have? Show me what you're looking at.
I was just pulling it up. I was making sure I had it on my shopping list, and I did. All of it except for one that I didn't add to the list, so I just put it on
John
there.
says you should get a Mevo, Jarrod. If you want to talk about a sore subject, that Mevo. Man, I don't understand them, because I have a friend who runs Mevos. He runs a 3 Mevo system, and he does live streams all the time at events like crazy. I set my Mevos up for church. It's the internet, but it's like, it doesn't work. They do not work. They have software glitches every time. I'm so mad at those Mevos, John. Thank you for picking the scab. Yes, you should get a Mevo. For all of you who run Mevos, hats off to you. I don't know how you get them to run. The connectivity between the three, and then they start glitching. No, thank you.
Yeah. No, I
thank
don't know. I'm not a. I've seen Mevo. I saw it come out, and I was like, it's good for some, not good for me. It's not good for what I want. So it was like,
are you getting to where you're like bogging down on all of the wireless compatibility on your cell phone? I'm having to click close down. I've got Mevo, I've got Tentacle, I've got all the lights, the Godox. You've got several different programs on your phone, and if they're all firing at the same time, what is it? Yes, do it.
Well,
that guy.
Apparently it worked, but it didn't work.
Where'd he go?
He flew, but he didn't. Let's see if I can get him to.
He didn't sing a song. Well,
Can I
I'm
get
not going
him
to back
to
him
flow
up
again?
Not backing him up. Nope.
Floating coffee hand.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
All right. John
Oh,
had
my
mentioned it.
goodness.
He said that somewhere here, Josh just got a refill without the floating coffee hand. I did get a refill without the floating coffee hand. I'm sorry. Okay, so
this is the cart. This is your cart.
Here is. Wait,
You're not thinking about it. It's in the cart.
This is just a shopping list.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a shopping list. However, I'm going to try to zoom in because I know sometimes that can be a hassle. So one of the first things that I've been looking at is these hot shoe microphones that Sony makes, where you just stick them on the hot shoe mount of your camera. There are no cords, and it just runs and it works. And I have seen enough that have used it that all of a sudden I'm thinking, I've had my Rode Video Micro for almost 5 years now, and it has been great. But the one thing that annoys me with it is it's something so simple. Sometimes, yes, we talk about wireless, but sometimes I don't want to have wires. And this is one of those that I could just put it on there and I don't have to plug anything. I don't want to mess with it. I just want to go with it. So I've looked at these. They're intriguing. I like the fact that it has no real battery. I mean, it's got a internal, but the camera itself charges it and runs it and powers it on. So once you turn the camera on, it turns on.
Does the new Sennheiser do that? The little bitty one? I've seen a bunch of people using that as well. Is that plug into the cold shoe?
I don't know.
That has been, just from the folks that I've been following on YouTube, that's been kind of sweeping out the old Rode wave.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but you can see I just added that one this morning. It's something I've been looking at. It's in my Best Buy cart. It just hasn't.
No, you're right. To have it turn on, turn off, and not have to worry about all the connections.
Yeah, and you
breaking
can
off the cable.
You can mess with the back, and you can go digital analog if you want. The auto level, which thank you, honey, for blocking that. The audio level, doing auto or manual, I like that. It's got the noise canceling or the low pass filter on there, and then to have the extra 0, 10 decibel or 20 decibel cut on it. Also to give you the difference between your pickup patterns, like a quick little switch on the back. There's something about having that I'm like, that could be really nice.
How tall is it? Because as you said before, this can't be used with your current setup. You're going to have to use it with your new setup. Look at that thing. I don't know, man. That's a deal breaker for me.
It's taller.
That's a monster.
Yeah, and I don't know what camera they've got that on, but that kind of looks like, I don't know. I can't even tell which camera that is. There's the A7C, so there's a full frame that it's on. It sticks up a lot, but that's what I've seen, we were just talking about Peter Lindgren, and he's been using that quite a bit. And I like the way it sounds. It's got a good sound. And that's the thing for me. I want good sound, and I want it to be something that I don't have to think about. Just go with it. Here's another one that it's the Freewell variable ND. I'm not a fan of that price tag on it, and Genevieve's not going to be a fan of that price tag either. But
she says her shopping list looks way different than yours.
Yeah, hers definitely does. Here's the big one that's going to be almost immediate. This light that I've got up here, I have just got, I don't even know what they are.
Show me the behind view here.
Here, let me pull up this one instead, where I can do, I don't even know where the camera is. NDI, that's what I needed. NDI, and then we'll go over to this one here. Click on NDI. Let's see. Does it pop up on here?
This is that wireless stuff I was talking about.
There.
Here we go.
let's just do this. Okay, so that's what I've got right there. It's just a, here, hold on. Let me see if I can do this. Whoop. Okay, so I have this little umbrella.
Ella.
I got that thing on there. And
okay. Yep.
so that says it's the Viltrox VL200. And as you can see there, it's just one of those little LED panels. And I've got it pointed in the back because it has the reflector on the back. And then it's kind of bouncing this way with that little softbox. And that, I believe, is like a Neewer softbox. It's okay. It works. But I don't like part of the issue is the color in here is just, it's odd. I don't like the way it lights the room. I don't like the way it still gives harsh tones on it. So that's where I keep looking at these, what are they? The
the lanterns.
The lanterns. And I look at those and I see how soft they are. And I'm like, I want one of those. And then I saw this itty bitty Aperture Amran 60D. And I'm like, oh, that thing is so cute and so tiny. And I'm thinking, you know what? I could do that. And if it was on one of the lanterns, then I don't really have to worry about.
I would like to remind you that you and Diana reprimanded me hardcore for using Aperture box style LED setups rather than LED panels. And I remember a whole season of life where y'all said, why are you doing that, Jarrod? Why don't you just use the LED panels?
Okay.
In a
fair,
small softbox.
To be fair, and you guys can hear this. I said that because Jarrod was sending us pictures of how massive the footprint of that took up in his room.
So I got that one time. I don't know if y'all have seen Matty Apoya, but he's got this ridiculous diffusion box. It's how big is that thing? Have you seen it? The one at his desk? I don't know if you've
it's insane. Yeah, it's like 5 foot.
I ordered that one time and showed them the picture of that. It took up my entire room. Do not do that. That was too far. But it does. They take up quite a bit of space.
Yeah. So that's the one I'm looking at. That's probably going to be the first thing. Like, I may even, don't tell Genevieve, I may even order that today. But I've been wanting to get rid of this for a while, just because I don't like it. And I've watched DSL Video Shooter. What is that? Who is that? Is that Caleb?
Yeah. Yes. Wojak. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Anyways, I've watched his review on that Aperture and a few others that are like, there's a Godox these are the small cob lights. And I've seen a few of them that have made that stuff. Those are good. And Aperture does really good with the colors. I like the way it diffuses. I've seen it with those the lantern softboxes, and it makes it a huge light source with not a lot of heat. And to me, it's like, I know that's what I need because that's a pretty big softbox that I've got there, but the diffusion on it isn't really good. So I'm just not a big fan of how it winds up working, because it still gives a really harsh light for me. And
you're gonna love it.
The rest of it is dark. So that's where I thought, you know what? That's what I think would definitely help with the studio setups.
I think so too. Spend that money. Yes, I think you need it.
That's the one I looked at that and I'm like, that won't be, I mean, that's only like $250.
Do it.
Just don't tell Genevieve.
No, we'll never say a word, Genevieve. He's gonna do it.
So, and add to cart.
But he's not kidding.
But that's the one that's the main gas that I've got. Because I look at my setup, and I've done this pretty much every year, and it seems to be about this time where, spring, I get back into video creation mode, and it's like winter's through. I'm re-energized. is there anything I need to buy that is going to help make my system run better? And there are things that would be nice,
Yeah.
but not nice enough. So like, I know DJI's new microphones, those are nice. I think Rode just dropped another one recently. That would be nice. Mine work well. I have no need and no real desire to change things up. Like, I don't have any complaints with it. I've got the Rodecaster 1. I know there's a lot of features that the Rodecaster 2 has. Not enough for my situation that I really need it. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this, I rarely press record on that. So I think that's probably the first time in 6 months I've even realized there was a record button. However, other things, it's like the last year, I don't think I really added anything. Actually, I did buy a little extra USB extender, an extra hub. And that's the only thing I've really bought. Oh, I did buy a wireless charging pad and keyboard pad for my desk. Other than that, there's not really been any major gear that I've needed to buy because things are working. But when I look at the video quality that I've got, and it's like this bright spot, like it's just a little too hot, and I'm not overexposed, but it looks really overexposed, and it's just because of the harsh lighting. And it's like, okay, that's something that I could fix. If I'm going to fix it, what would that look like? And for Diana's situation where she does a lot of traveling, the LED panels are so much better to just kind of take and run with because they're portable. You can put them up there, and just kind of run with it that way. In a studio, like that's the only place I ever take a light is in the studio. So why do I need something that's made to be portable when I'm not porting it? It's like,
You're going to love it.
Yeah.
You're going to love it.
That'll be the one that will likely come in here. And because of the lantern, it shines the light everywhere.
That's what I'm curious about. I'm tempted to order one myself just because this one right here is actually the Godox. I don't even use the aperture one. It stays in the bag because it is so portable.
Yeah.
It ports itself very well.
Yeah.
So it has a little bit of a green cast to it, but like you said, the diffusion of these bigger panels, and I think the lantern's going to take it a step further, but like they're awesome.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of that. And with the lanterns, you can direct it. Like you can put a skirt on it if you want. I don't want the skirt. Like I've got a white wall back behind there. I want it to reflect off there and bring more ambient light.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just needs to be a little bit brighter. Now I'm a little overexposed, but that's because
it is funny. Like just like cameras, everything, different use cases for different folks, because I'm sharing the studio with my wife. I used to have, and like maybe 10 episodes ago for you and I, maybe less, I had two soft boxes pumping light in here, but it's a hazard in our studio. She has to trip over it, and then we have to swing it all around. So now it's just this one because it's simple. And I think if it was a lantern,
that's what I'm thinking. Because I had two in here as well. I had this one. Actually, that one was over here, and then behind it, I had another one. And it worked, but it was a hazard. And as many cables as I can get up and out of the way, and as much as this can just be walk in, press start, stream, record, whatever. That's what I want. And if that would help to do some of that extra lighting, I'm a big fan of that. That's next on the radar, especially because I got another month before the camera comes out.
I have a little bit of a rogue question I want to ask you about. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. You have a big project that you're going to be working on over the course of the next few months, I would guess.
Yes.
Are you going to be filming or letting your audience in on any of that, or is that going to be pretty private until there's a surprise at the end?
I haven't decided. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. There's a part of me that wants to document everything and build anticipation. There's another part of me that has a little bit of that fear of failure that just wants to be like, if I don't say anything, then
nobody
expects
anything.
And it's like, meh. So there's a little bit of that. That I haven't decided, and that's because my brain, the order of service for my brain is
Nice roadmap. I got you.
I need to vlog first. Like, I need to make a video. Like, even if it's not walking out and about, talking vlog, even if it's just sitting in here and it's talking head type, I need to make something. I need to get something on my channel. On any one of my channels. Let's just put it that way. So I definitely need to do something like that.
All 19 of your audiences miss you.
Yes. So, yeah. And hey, Augie, which apparently for some reason, the icons are not coming up here, but he says, I vlog. It helps me process.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I do think I may, I might. I haven't quite decided on that just yet.
Well, like I said, don't have to go into any of that. I was curious. I thought if you did want to talk about it, love to. I am personally curious, but I will save my curiosity and wait like everybody else, and we'll see. We'll find out.
Genevieve says, you may have a foot permanently attached to you. Just kidding. Where am I? Apparently she heard us. Why? What? Don't you have stuff to do, woman? Why are you listening to the Vlogpasters podcast?
It's always shocking.
I thought I said just kicking instead of just kidding. Yeah. So, no. Yeah, I've got gear. I've got stuff. Vlog you're hitting the button and ordering the camera and lights. John, you may be onto something. You may have just inspired me to press record. But then I've got to take that lens off and I've got to put the other lens on.
Here, hold on. I'll just film you. Huh?
Right.
We'll just... There we go.
You know, the good part of it is if I did a vlog and I needed to cut away to some like B-roll, I've got this podcast that we can show talking about that. I probably should do something. Jarrod should probably do something too.
Should we get after it?
I think we should. Vlog fixing the buses then. Oh, that's not going to happen. Like, I ain't doing that. No.
I don't want any part of that.
Nope, don't want any part of that. The superintendent saw me this morning and he's like, if you want to come out here and help Randy fix things up, I'll pay you. And I just looked at him and that was it. And then as soon as he walked out, I was like, yeah, Randy, I'm out for most of the day. So maybe at like 12:30 or so, I'll give you a holler and see how you're doing. If you need me to run to another town and grab an extra bus, I might do it. But I did get a text message while we were filming here. And, man, my error making ISO recordings. Error card.
That's that little.
Ooh, hey, there's another one and another one. There's like 5 of these that are popping up. I think it's telling me that we're about to break the stream or break my computer. Yeah, it's popping up something fierce. So I think we might need to end this. But anyways, here's another one. Wow, it's popping up. Jarrod, anything else you want to say before this breaks on us?
It sounds like the ship's going down. I love it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Next week you can join us when Jarrod and I talk about things that he definitely doesn't want to talk about.
And we'll find out what Josh added to cart.
And until then, stay blessed. Enjoy God's best. Have a great week.